Krishna. Ready to go. Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Vihari Gopi Janamadava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Malava Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Manachare Yamuna Tera Vanachadi Jai Hurad Umadava Kunya Vihari Jai Hurad Madhuva Kunya Vihari Gopijana Malava Girivardhari Gopijana Malava Girivardhari Yasodanandana Prachadana Ranjana Yasodanandana Prachadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Manachadi Yamuna Tera Vanachati Jai Hurat Umadava Kunya Vihari Jai Hurat Umadava Kunya Vihari Madhuva. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidacharya All Stotera Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chanana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Vilas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Mukund Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Majuranam Ki Jai Jagannatha Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, we are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 20th chapter, text 21. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Pitva Paha Padapaha Padbir Asan Nanatma Amurtiyaha Prak Shamas Tapasa Shanta Yata Akamanu Sevya Pitva Pa Pada Pa Padbir Asananatma Murtiyaha Prakshamastapasa Shanta Yatakamanu Sevya Pitva Pa Pada Pa Padbir Asananatma Murtiyaha Rakshamastapasa Shanta Yatakamanu Sevya Pitvapa Padapapatbir Asananatma Murtiyaha Rakshamastapasa Shanta Yatakamanu Sevya. Okay. Ready? Pitva, having drunk. Apaha, water. Padapaha, the trees. Padbihi, with their feet. Asan, assumed. Nana, various. Atmamurtiyaha, bodily features. Prak, previously. Kshamaha, emaciated. Does everybody know what emaciated means? Hope so. Hope so. Emaciated means like you've just been doing so many austerities, you're just so thin, you look like skin and bones, basically. And your face is all sunken in. Your cheeks are all sunken in. Interesting, in India they say that if you're fat, you look healthy. Anyway, that's another issue. Tapasa, by austerities. Shrantaha, fatigued. Yata, as. Kama anusevaya, by enjoying acquired desired objects. Translation: the trees had grown thin and dry, but after they drank the newly fallen rainwater through their feet, their various bodily features blossomed. Similarly, one whose body has grown thin and weak from austerity again exhibits his healthy bodily features upon enjoying the material objects gained through that austerity. So you can repeat. The trees had grown thin and dry, but after they drank the newly fallen rainwater through their feet, their various bodily features blossomed. Similarly, one whose body has grown thin and weak from austerity again exhibits his healthy bodily features upon enjoying the material objects gained through that austerity. So, purport: by the servants of His Divine Grace of the Prabhupada. The word pada means foot, and pa means drinking. Trees are called pada-pa because they drink through their roots, which are likened to feet. Upon drinking the newly fallen rainwater, the trees in Vrindavan began to manifest new leaves, sprouts, and blossoms, and thus they enjoyed new growth. Similarly, materialistic persons often perform severe austerities to acquire the object of their desire. For example, politicians in America undergoing grueling austerities while traveling about the countryside campaigning for election. Businessmen also will often deny personal comfort to make their business successful. Such austere persons, upon acquiring the fruits of their austerity, again become healthy and satisfied, like trees eagerly drinking rainwater after enduring the austerity of a dry, hot summer. And we'll read the commentaries by the Acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, as the trees become filled with various forms, such as sprouts, leaves, and flowers during the rainy season, so the tapasvi, by enjoying material objects, nourishes his body. This, of course, is unfavorable for those practicing detachment. And Jiva Goswami says, those who are thin and weak because of austerities take on various healthy features after enjoying objects. Excuse me. The trees in the summer on drinking water take on various features. And then we'll read Srila Prabhupada's translation in the light of the Bhagavad, which is also very interesting in this regard. Many plants and creepers that were almost dead during the months of April and May are now visible again in various forms, for they are nourished by their roots in the moist earth. Now, it's very interesting. April and May here would be the rainy season. In India, it's not. It's the hot season. These numberless plants and creepers resemble persons who dry up in severe penances for some material gain, but then achieve their objectives and become luxuriously fat, nourished by sense enjoyment. And Prabhupada comments here, In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that when the daytime of Brahma is over, the manifested creations of the universe all vanish, and after the end of Brahma's night, the creation is manifest again. Thus, the cosmic creation, in its manifestation and non-manifestation, resembles the creepers and plants that appear during the rainy season and gradually vanish when the season is over. Bhutva grama saivayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratra agame vasha parta prabhavat yahar agame. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. That's from the 19th text in the 8th chapter. When the plants and creepers are no longer to be seen, their seeds remain, and these dormant seeds fructify in contact with water. Similarly, the seed-like spiritual sparks, who are dominated by the desire to lord it over material nature, exist in a dormant state after the cosmic manifestation is annihilated. And when the cosmic manifestation reappears, all the silent living beings within the womb of material nature come out and engage in sense enjoyment, thereby growing luxuriously fat. Not all of us, of course. To attain liberation, one must be completely purified of perverted forms of desire. A living being cannot snuff out desires, and to practice artificially erasing the actions of desire is more dangerous than the active desires themselves. I'm going to read that sentence again because it's really interesting. To practice artificially erasing the actions of desire is more dangerous than the active desires themselves. Wow. All desires should be reformed and directed toward spiritual activities. Otherwise, those same desires will repeatedly manifest themselves in different varieties of material enjoyment, thus conditioning the living being perpetually in material bondage. Whew. It's really interesting here. All right, so we will read the verse again in Sanskrit. Hita pitva pa padapa padbir asananatma murtiyaha prakshamastabasa shranta yatakamanu sevaya. So, Omaganat Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, there's many different ways we can take this metaphor, or can refer to many different things. And one way I'd like to talk about is the what's called the bij, seed of desire, which is sometimes called the papa bij. That's not a mama bij, but there's a papa bij. So the papa bij is the seed of material desires, or sinful desires, to take it more directly. And this seed of desires in our hearts may not be manifest right now. Just like Prabhupada I was listening to a class, actually this morning, Prabhupada was talking about how a little baby doesn't experience, lusty sexual desires. And so one devotee was saying the reason that they don't experience those desires is because their body's not developed, or that they will experience the desires later on because their body's developed. And Prabhupada said, no, it's because of the desire in the heart. So one's body may be fully developed, one will not experience those lusty desires if one is Krishna conscious. Simple as that. So, anyway, we have these seeds, and of course, as we've heard many times before, by the performance of austerities, the seeds do not get destroyed. In fact, the seeds lie dormant. Or, on the other hand, it's something like the balloon that Mother Sattva uses to make different animals. Anyone knows who Mother Sattva is? No. She makes these animals and different creatures out of balloons. So what happens is when you push in one side of the balloon, what happens with the other side of the balloon? It pops out. And you say, that's how she makes it. She goes, boop, bloop. And so we have this thing called sublimated desires. Oh my God, sublimated. That means we're keeping them down, and they come out as something else. It's really like that. And so austerities, they have one of the two effects. One effect of austerities is the desires don't become manifest until you again start eating. And the other aspect of austerities is that it becomes manifest as something else. And we're going to give an example of how it becomes manifest as something else. Let's take the example of Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni engages in really harsh austerities. It's not meant as a criticism because he is a partial expansion of Lord Shiva. He's known as Durvas because he has bad temper. You know, Vas can mean a place where you live or also mean your face. So he has a bad temper, Durvas. Well, you put the word, you put Dur in front of something. So Durvasa Muni, he engaged in austerities, and what happened is when he didn't get the respect that he was expecting from Maharaj Ambarish, he got so angry he wanted to kill Maharaj Ambarish. Can you imagine that? You know, if someone doesn't respect me, okay, Hare Krishna, that's your problem, not mine. Go to hell. Oh, sorry. But if someone doesn't respect me, you know, whatever, you know. Actually, no, what is that? Amanina Manadena. Devotee is, you know, Trinadapi Sunichena Tharoti Vasishana. Amanina Manadena Kirtinya Sadahari. So, you know, so what? Of course, the Kshatriya sometimes wants respect, many times wants respect. But anyway, so he's performing austerities, and then he tries to kill Maharaj Ambarish by plucking out one of the hairs in his head, creating this big demon. And what happens? The Sudarshan Chakra starts chasing him all over creation and even to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu can't do anything about it. He says, sorry, Charlie. You know, anyway, so he says, sorry, you have to go back to Maharaj Ambarish. So, on the other hand, you have Maharaj Ambarish engaged in austerities. And first of all, his first austerity was his fasting. I think it was 42 days or something like that. Fasting, you know, he was doing some sort of fasting for 42 days. Wow. I mean, I can't even fast for 42 minutes, what to speak of 42 days. Of course, I haven't eaten today yet. So what happened is that Maharaj Ambarish was getting ready to break his fast. I mean, imagine that. And you know what happens when you're really hungry? Your blood sugar goes down, and you get super cranky, and you're a danger to humankind at that particular point. I have, not personally, but I've experienced it with people I know. The blood sugar goes down, therefore you only talk to them and make requests after they've eaten. So anyway, so there's Maharaj Ambarish fasting, and there's a demon created to kill him, and he just takes shelter of Krishna. You know, there's no material desires or anything like that. He's just simply thinking compassionately. And actually, Prabhupada said, this is actually a very interesting point that Prabhupada made, that the result of a devotee's austerities, this is a direct quote from Prabhupada, or paraphrase quote, the result of a devotee executing austerities is forgiveness. Think about that for a second. Forgiveness, Prabhupada says. Not just compassion, forgiveness. Because as we know, the devotees, what are the devotees' qualities? Atikshava kurunika surada sarvadedam ajata shatra shanta sadava sadabhushanam. First point is Titikshava, because without Titikshava, you can't exhibit any other good qualities, basically. Titikshava means, of course, tolerance. Karunika, and once you're Titikshava, then you can be merciful to all living entities, and also Ajata Shatrava. So the first three qualities, and also Shanta, but that's the fourth quality. First three qualities have to do with interacting with other living entities, isn't it? And also with other material miseries, like miseries from your body and mind, miseries from other living entities, and miseries from the material nature, and miseries from your computer. I'm sure there's other miseries I can come up with. So, Titikshava Kurunika is full of mercy. As we're mentioning about the Vaishnavas, what is it? Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha. They're an ocean of mercy. That means unlimited mercy. So this is how you can really tell if you get dealing with an advanced Vaishnava. If they're insulted, they don't get angry, or if they're attacked, they don't. Look at Haridas Thakur. Isn't it? What was the manifestation of the austerity he was performing by getting whipped in so many marketplaces? The manifestation was compassion towards the people who were whipping him. What was the manifestation of Jesus Christ getting put on the cross? Does anyone know? Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they're doing. Wow. So that's how you can really tell if something is a proper austerity. Krishna conscious austerity. Because basically, any other austerity, let me read from Bhagavad Gita about austerities that hurt the body and are not mentioned in the scriptures. This, of course, is a famous verse, text 5 and 6. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the supersoul dwelling within. Of course, the supersoul, he gets tortured, not in the sense that, I feel pain, you feel pain, but he's feeling compassion, are to be known as what? Demons. So, of course, this word demons is we've been talking about this in my classes at night, that this word demon is used by Prabhupada quite a bit. And I take it as indicating a person's behavior rather than just like pinning a label on someone, that someone is acting like a demon. Because actually a pure devotee or a devotee sees that everybody can come to Krishna consciousness. I was just listening to another class of Prabhupada this morning. We'll continue the Ambarish story in a second, where people were telling Prabhupada that everyone's so demoniac they can't understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said, yes, no more preaching. This is in a particular place, He said, don't preach. No philosophy. Wait, give them prasadam. Let them come to the temple, and they'll imitate the devotees. The devotees will offer obeisances. And I remember the first time I went to the temple, I had never heard of an obeisance in my life. I never bowed down to anybody in my whole life. I thought it was nonsense. But just to fit in with the devotees, I don't know if anyone's experienced this when you first come in the temple, just to fit in so you don't look like weird, the only person standing up. You bow down, right? That's what I did. I didn't know. Walked into Hare Krishna temple. I didn't know what the objects on the altar were. I didn't know what the bush was that everybody was dancing around and bowing down to. I was born in America, born in the USA, as the song goes. But I just imitated. Okay, Yani Kani Cha Papani Brahmahachari Kani Cha. And then I chanted an imitation, did all these things. That's what Prabhupada said. They will imitate us, and then Prabhupada said, give them prasadam. And then when they become a little advanced, you can give them philosophy. And then a devotee asked, what about book distribution, Prabhupada? Interesting. And Prabhupada said, yes, by giving a donation, they're going to make spiritual. And, taking the book, touching the book, and everything like that. And of course, there's that verse in the 10th canto, 1st chapter, text 4. Puman virajeta bina pashugnat. That's the last line of the verse. Nivrittatar sharubagimanat pavoshana shotra mano vidamat kautamish loga gunanavavat. Puman virajeta bina pashugnat. And that verse says that the chanting of Krishna's glories will attract everyone and relieve people from the tarshanat, the miseries of the material existence. But the only people who are not going to be attracted or understand are those who are what? Pashugnat. Killers of animals or killers of themselves. So Prabhupada is actually indicating the importance, although some people may not agree, of Agyata Sukriti, right? Because that's what Agyata Sukriti means. You offer a basis, Prabhupada is emphasizing Agyata Sukriti. And also Bhaktivinoda Thakur emphasizes Agyata Sukriti. In his Harinam Chintamani, he talks about even if a Muslim chants what? Haram, haram. How horrible. Or even if I go to the Ramada Inn. Where are you staying tonight? Ramada Inn. Oh, Jai Shri Ram. Anyway, even if Valmiki chanted Mara, ended up with Ram. And basically he didn't know what he was doing in the beginning. And there was benefit. So anyway, let's get back to the story about Ambarish and Durvasa Muni. So Ambarish getting ready to break his fast, is not able to break his, take some water, of course, and attempted murder by Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni's running away, and Ambarish Maharaj, he is just standing there waiting for Durvasa Muni to come back. Wow. That is amazing, isn't it? How he's just, excuse me, how compassionate he is. So that means that his austerities were pleasing to Krishna. Now, when austerities are not pleasing to Krishna, as described here, then there's a material effect to those austerities. I mean, there's so many stories about this in Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures. You have Hiranyakashipu doing austerities, really severe austerities, living in the marrow of his bones. I mean, that's pretty cool. Those bones shall rise again. Anyway, sorry about that. So, living in the marrow of his bones, and then Lord Brahma has to come and pour some of his water from his kamandalu, and then he comes out, and then he just wants to do demoniac things after that. Or Ravan, I mean, it's bad enough that Hiranyakashipu is living in the marrow of his bones, but you get Ravan cutting off his heads and offering it to Lord Brahma. And then he just becomes more enthusiastic as a demon afterwards. And even like someone who is a group of devotees are well-intentioned, you have the Prachetas. The story of the Prachetas, the sons of Prachini Baharishat. And they were performing all these austerities in the water. And for many, many years, and when they finished their austerities, they've been performing for many years, and there's no king, I guess, to do agriculture in the meantime. They come out of the water, and they see all the trees have grown. What is the first thing they do? They get angry at the trees. Come on. The poor trees are just growing. Padapa, I mean, get angry at trees. It's just like sometimes here, I walk out there and get angry at the weeds that nobody's taken care of yet. Anyways, and I look at the weeds with, fortunately I'm not like the Prachetas, or else we have a forest fire here. So, for the Prachetas, because they had done all that austerity, they looked at the trees, and they were starting to burn all the trees. I mean, of course, in one sense, yes, you have to clear the land for agriculture and everything, but they went too far. They became overcome by anger. So that's another result of these austerities. Prabhupada actually said if you execute too many austerities, it'll make the heart hard, even in Krishna consciousness. Because the austerities not only have to be mentioned in Shastra, just like in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks, what is the religion of one who doesn't follow Shastra? And Krishna says his religion or his belief or faith, is of either mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. But even if you do follow Shastra, then Shastra has to be applied according to time, place, and circumstance. You understand? By the spiritual master, by other devotees. You can't just pick and choose things out of Shastra to find out what sort of austerities you want to perform. And devotees do that sometimes. And we don't understand. We may forget the priorities of life. Like for example, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur considered the topmost austerity was preaching Krishna consciousness. And of course, that's mentioned in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is it? Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu Jangan Mangalam Amaksam Mahatama Pikorivya Vijayakantaka Nishkritam. This is the answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question of how people could be freed from hell. But it also deals with austerities. Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu. This Sankirtan, or the chanting of Lord Vishnu's name, or Krishna's name. Jangan, it is the most auspicious thing and best austerity you can perform. That's the yagya, the Sankirtan yagya, they say, for this day and age. Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu Jangan Mangalam Angasam. It frees everybody from sin? Mahatama Pikaravya. The great souls recommend it, and the great souls do it. Vijayakantaka Nishkritam. It is the best tapasya. It is the best prayaschitta. Specifically in this particular part of the Bhagavatam, they're talking about prayaschitta, atonement. Atone for your sins. Just like one day I went into Ripley's Believe It or Not in New York, and they had this whole section of how the monks would atone for their sins. Anyone's been in Ripley's Believe It or Not in New York? No? And they show the hair shirts, which are really itchy. Like when I got bar mitzvah, I had to wear a hair shirt. Anyway, it's itchy. Anyway, wool. Kids don't like it. So anyway, they show the hair shirts and these racks and all the different austerities. I mean, oh my God, I don't want to be religious at all. This is what it means to be religious. And you, in the movie, the Da Vinci Code, some of you may have seen it, you got someone, self-flagellation, right? I'm sinful. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Talk about guilt trips. Anyway, my mother was bad, but not that bad. So anyways, you really have to feel guilty to do something like that. So anyway, so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he established this principle, and actually Lord Chaitanya established the principle, that whatever maximizes the preaching, purity is the forest, utility is the principle. Prabhupada also mentioned that. You can't say maximize and stop chanting Hare Krishna, but chanting Hare Krishna is part of it's like filling the tank with gas, petrol, is part of going out in Sankirtan. It's not you just go out in Sankirtan and you forget to put oil in the car, you forget to put gas in the car, and then just chant Hare Krishna and everything would take, or you forget to go to the doctor and get your vaccinations. We got people who are anti-vaxxers in our movement. We were talking at a GBC conference yesterday, and one person said, no vaccine has ever worked in the history of mankind. I'm not going to mention who that is. And so, you got to be take care of your material stuff too. And that's part of Sankirtan. So anyway, that's the point, to maximize the preaching. So let's get back to the Prachetas, because I was talking about that story. So they got angry, and they burnt up too many trees. And then Lord Brahma had to come down and said, cool it, boys. You're burning down too many trees. And then he had to arrange for them to get married just to cool them down. Married the daughter of the trees, of the trees that were left like that. So the point is that of austerity. So how do we determine what are the right austerities for us? And that Prabhupada gives directions. What is the right austerity? How to follow Ekadasi. And don't come up with other austerities that have nothing to do with the Vedic literatures or not given to you by your spiritual master. And just like now, I mean, for one example, and this is politically incorrect, but I'll mention it anyway, that people consider this particular period called Pita Paksh. You've heard of this before? But it's not mentioned in the Vedic literature. North India, they talk about this. It's not mentioned anywhere in the Vedic literature. It's just a tradition. People do all these austerities for it. And so you have to find out if the austerity, the point is mentioned in the Vedic literature, in Shastra, yet Shastra vidamutsra javartate kamakarata. One who rejects Shastra never becomes happy. And then secondly, you have to apply it according to the directions of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, an example of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and that will help you become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, you become like the Prachetas, hopefully not like Ravan or Kumbhakarna or anybody like that. All right, on that happy note, all glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Golokananda.